Alright everybody, I'm Logan Alec and this is my stimulus update for Wednesday, June 24th. So later in this video, I will be talking about which Republican senators oppose the idea of another round of stimulus checks. I'll also tell you which senator opposes the idea of another round of checks, but it appears to support bailouts for oil and gas companies. Yes, I'm going to get into all of that, but first, I want to get out ahead of something. I wouldn't put it beyond some YouTubers to make a video today called something like just in, finally breaking $8,000 stimulus checks, okay? Why? Why would they make a video about this today? Well, because Forbes came out with an article yesterday called Proposal Vacation Tax Credit of $8,000 per couple plus $500 per child. And if you know how these clickbait YouTubers work, they basically just read stuff in Forbes and sensationalize the headline, right? So let me tell you what's actually going on. Yesterday, Senator Martha McSally, Republican senator from Arizona, proposed the American TRIP Act, okay? TRIP being an acronym for Tax Rebate and Incentive Program. This is another vacation tax credit proposal. We've talked about the Explore America tax credit before here on the channel. We still haven't seen a bill for that, right? There's a lot of hullabaloo made about it, but we haven't seen a bill. Okay, this TRIP Act, we actually have seen a bill. I printed it out, and I'll be going over the bill in a separate video later today. Okay, but at a high level, this bill would provide for a tax credit of up to $4,000. Okay, for travel expenses, $4,000 for single individuals, $8,000 for married couples, $500 per dependent child. Okay, I'm going to get into it later today. Just know that if you see videos today about $8,000 stimulus checks, they're talking about this tax credit. Okay, and there's nothing in this bill that would imply that it would be paid in advance, right? And plus, you have to spend this money in order to get the tax credit for it. Okay, so calling it like a stimulus check is a little bit disingenuous, right? It is a tax credit, right? What, are we going to call every tax credit a stimulus check now? I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. Okay, we're going to talk about the stimulus updates in a second, but first, you know, I'm a CPA, so please forgive me if I want to talk about taxes for a little bit longer. So another bill was introduced this week into the Senate, bipartisan bill. This one's called the Universal Giving Pandemic Response Act. This would expand the charitable giving deduction, okay, for tax year 2019 and tax year 2020. All right. I will be getting into that bill later today as well, probably tomorrow actually. We'll see. I will be creating a separate video on that proposal. One more thing about taxes. All right. So yesterday, in a virtual event hosted by Bloomberg, Stephen Mnuchin says he's not intending on extending the tax deadline past July 15th. Okay, but it's something we may consider. Just for context. We all know right now that the tax deadline for individual tax returns was extended from the usual April 15th deadline through July 15th. That's to both file your return and pay your outstanding tax liability for tax year 2019. You can file an extension by July 15th and get your tax return deadline to actually file your return extended to October 15th, but you still have to pay your taxes due by July 15th. Now, some conservative tax groups have asked Treasury Department to consider extending that deadline even beyond July 15th. Okay, so that you don't not only both the tax payment and the tax return deadline. Okay, but yesterday in a virtual event hosted by Bloomberg, Stephen Mnuchin said, as of now, we're not intending on doing that, but it is something we may consider. Okay, the argument to extend it is that, look, these Americans, they're going to have to pay all this money into the government before July 15th for their outstanding taxes owed. Wouldn't you rather have them have that money to spend in the economy, to stimulate the economy? So that's kind of the line of thinking here, right? You know, but there's two sides to that coin, right? Because, well, if it's not in the economy, then it's not going to the government, and the government is racking up debt at an incredible pace. Anyway, we'll see if that happens. Mnuchin doesn't seem like it's something he really wants. I think that was a very political answer when he said it is something we may consider. All right, now let's talk about what's going on in the Senate with respect to another round of stimulus checks. GOP senators had a lunch with Secretary of Treasury Stephen Mnuchin yesterday. All right, as we know, Donald Trump, and it appears to a lesser extent, Stephen Mnuchin, appear to support another round of stimulus checks, okay, especially Trump. I've played you 3 videos in the past week where Trump has, to varying degrees, expressed support for another round of stimulus checks, okay? And like I said, I think if there is another round of stimulus checks, it will be a very politically motivated decision, maybe not so much data-driven, okay? Trump knows it's a good political move, right, to send out more Trump checks. Economic impact payments is the official term, not Trump checks. But of course, many in the GOP-held Senate disagree with the president on whether or not there should be another round of stimulus checks. Okay, I'm going to read you some examples here. Senator Pat Toomey, Republican senator from Pennsylvania, said that he's a skeptic about the idea of issuing more stimulus checks. He said that was an emergency measure taken when we were in a full-blown crisis, referring to the first round of stimulus checks. And frankly, we knew it was wildly inefficient because all kinds of people were getting checks whose work was not jeopardized. He said that many recipients of the checks didn't have any lost income, or they were government employees or retirees. I hate that last argument there, right? His argument is basically like, okay, well, they're retirees, so therefore they're on a fixed income, so therefore they didn't lose any income, so therefore why would they need a stimulus check? Okay, but look, the price of food, for example, has gone up, okay? So if someone's just barely scraping by on a fixed income, okay, what are they going to do now that this price of food is skyrocketed, right? And plus, we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic, okay? I think people need a little extra cash right now. So I really don't like that argument at all. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican senator from Florida, said we want to make sure the next round of assistance is targeted at those who need it the most. So Rubio is talking about a more targeted, perhaps, assistance. Maybe direct cash payments, maybe not sure what's on his mind. But this is different than what Secretary of the Treasury Stephen Mnuchin said when he was asked by a reporter last week if there is another round of stimulus checks, would it be more targeted? Mnuchin kind of said, oh, no. The beauty of stimulus checks is it's a quick way to get money out to everybody at once, right? That's what he said. If you want to watch that clip, check out the link right above my head, right? So this is different, right? These calls for a more targeted stimulus is different than what Mnuchin said yesterday about another round of stimulus checks if there is one, okay? Now this one really gets my blood boiling here. Senator John Cornyn, Republican senator from Texas, he said the first round of $1,200 checks was necessary at the beginning of the crisis because people were waiting for unemployment benefits to kick in. But as of right now, he says, I don't see the compelling need for another round of stimulus checks. Instead, you know what John Cornyn's pushing for? He's pushing for legislation to provide tax relief to the oil and gas industries. Isn't that ridiculous? Okay, so those on their last dime right now, no, they don't need another $1,200 check, no. But it's the oil and gas companies who need tax breaks, right? I think that's just a little bit ludicrous. Would you not agree? Another senator, Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican senator from Tennessee, said he's disinclined to support another round of stimulus checks. He instead wants more money to go to help schools and colleges get started again in the fall. Senator Rand Paul, Republican senator from Kentucky, called another round of stimulus checks a terrible idea. He said, we are already setting records with how much money we've spent. We've added like $4 trillion in debt in 1 year just with what they've done so far. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican senator from Wisconsin, said anything we do in the future has to be better targeted. So Mnuchin did not appear to really push too hard for the stimulus checks at the lunch. He just said that it's one of the things they're discussing and that his goal is for Congress to push through another coronavirus relief bill before the end of July, okay, which is what we're kind of expecting and hoping for anyway. All right. So like I've said before, Trump wants more stimulus checks. Congressional Democrats want more stimulus checks. It's the Senate Republicans that are going to be the stick in the mud with respect to another round of stimulus checks. But I hope they have a change of heart because we are still very much in the middle of a huge health crisis right now, folks. Yesterday, according to Johns Hopkins University, 34,700 new cases of coronavirus were reported across the country. That is the third biggest day, okay? Only April 9th and April 24th surpassed June 23rd in the number of new coronavirus cases reported. Yesterday in a House panel, Dr. Anthony Fauci, our nation's top infectious disease doctor, said that the rising cases are disturbing. Currently, over 120,000 Americans have died of complications of COVID-19. Also yesterday, CDC Director Robert Redfield told Congress that the U.S. currently has about 28,000 contact tracers. Okay, that falls short of the 100,000 contact tracers that he believes are critical to stop the spread of the virus. All right, I made a video last month about how you can make $17 through $22 from home as a contact tracer. I show you how to apply and all that. Okay, you can check out that video right here if you missed it. Consider doing that if you're looking for work, and it can help stop the spread of the virus. All right, that is my update for today. I'm going to be making another video today about that new vacation tax credit proposal, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.